All right, and a pleasant good morning to you coming from the sports betting capital of the world, Las Vegas. This is Ramon Scott, and welcome to Night Moves here for Wednesday, January 14th. Got kind of a light show tonight, light card anyway, in the NHL and a few games in the NBA. We got some big college basketball slate. I've selected a handful of games to go over tonight. Let's get ready for fun sports betting day. Not a lot of action, but we'll cover all the big games here on the show tonight. Thank you for joining me here on the Tony's Picks YouTube channel. Get ready for uh, Wednesday night's action after a pretty interesting day there on Wednesday. We certainly had Tuesday. We certainly had a few upsets along the way here, and lots of coaching moves too off of the NFL season here. More action here, more action off the field than on the field, pretty much on Tuesday. But there were some pretty good games in there. How about that Tennessee win over Texas A&M in two overtimes? The Aggies led by 11 there in the first half, but the balls were a little more clutch maybe on the free throw stripe, or maybe they just took more free throws as Tennessee got the win there last night over Texas A&M, and also Kansas. Man, they dumped Iowa State, handing them their first loss of the season there yesterday, 84-63. So that 16-0 start. Kansas led by 21 at halftime. So look, Kansas is 12-5, but they played the second toughest schedule in the country this year, and they were able to get that win and hand Iowa State their first loss. Villanova over Providence, 88-82. Villanova led by 12 at halftime. They're 5-1, and they're tied there for second in the Big East with St. John's behind UConn, of course, which beat Seton Hall 69-64. UConn led by 13 at halftime. Seton Hall did a pretty nice job to kind of fight back there a little bit, but it was a brick fest to say the least. The two teams were combined 4 for 33 from three-point range in that game. Connecticut has won 13 in a row since they lost to Arizona back in November. Creighton over Georgetown. Georgetown scored at the end of regulation. There was that long review. The hoop was waved off. They go to overtime. Creighton wins it 86-83. Georgetown led by 7 with just 2 minutes to go in the game. But I don't know, they kind of choked. They should have had that one. You don't see teams blow games in the fashion that they did. UNLV in overtime, late action here, just I'll say a short time ago, but UNLV 89-85 in overtime. How about Gibbs Lawhorn? 33 points in that one. The Rebels got the win finally in a close game. That's been their bugaboo so far this season. Boise's lost 4 in a row, 2 of them in overtime in the old Mountain West. Also, Wisconsin over Minnesota. Both teams hit a three-pointer there in the last 5 seconds of the game, and the Badgers are the one that counted there in that one. I had Minnesota as a premium here on the site. Didn't have a great night on the site here. We'll go over to Tony'sPicks.com and review. Also, Virginia beat Louisville 79-70. Still went under in that game. You think of the way Virginia is playing these days, and from the old Sports Chat Place database, you might have noted last night, Virginia and Louisville had gone under the posted total in the game between Virginia and Louisville in 108 of 110 games. That's 100 in the last 108 out of last 108 out of 110 games. Virginia's ACC night games had been under 154 points. That streak continues. I mean, I know it's a little bit different Virginia team now. But that one had to be pointed out, and it still stayed under despite what we were expecting. Their Cavs never trailed in that one. They've won, like I said, 4 in a row. Mikael Brown missed the game again there for Louisville. Line didn't move that much on his announcement. Of course, Louisville's other star player was in. He was a little bit questionable in the game. So pretty interesting night there of college basketball, and I had some ups and downs with the picks here on the show, but we did pull off a few winners here on Night Moves, I think. Uh, we did have the Virginia Cavaliers, in all fairness, there yesterday here on Night Moves. We also had Seton Hall plus the points there. So we were able to bring home a few winners here on the show last night. Florida and Oklahoma as well. We had the game total over here on the show. Also, Baylor and Oklahoma State over was a winner on the show. Mississippi State over Alabama, another show winner last night. Actually, most of them were winners for us here in college basketball. So hopefully we'll get some more here tonight. Looked at 5 games. Maybe we'll take some requests. Again, a lot of good games tomorrow. In college basketball, we got a 7-game card in the NBA and 4 to look at in the NHL. So we'll get to it here. Thanks for joining me on the show. Thanks for everyone in the chat. The chat pros are here, ready to give some picks as well. Let me see who is here actually. And let me put up my Tony's Picks banner a little bit. And here we go. There we go. And let's see who's here. All right, Mr. Weskers, he's ready to go. Nice to see you, Mr. Weskers. Great to have you as always. Greg Gibson here as well. He's got his winners in there from yesterday. Thank you to Greg. Jimmy Chushu, ready to go as well. So we'll get ready to roll here a little bit. Gooey's here tonight. Man, Gooey, nice to see Gooey in the chat here on Night Moves. We get ready to go with the NBA action here for a Wednesday. Maybe that's the feature. I think college might be the featured coverage here a little bit. So let's go ahead and get to some of the previews here with our action on Thursday. Oh, but first, don't forget you can go to our website, Tony'sPicks.com, and check out our premium picks over at Tony's Picks. Let's take a look at the handicapper leaderboards and see who was hot here on Tuesday night. You can use the promo code TonyT at checkout. Save 15% off all of those premium pick packages. Let me check out the leaderboards here and see who was hot from our crew. I always like to point out the best of the night and the VIP account. And shows you, man, was it a tough day yesterday? A little bit of a thin leaderboard. We won't belittle it, but got Jorge in there with a couple of wins. Brian's in there, won his only play, and you got the rest of the crew as well. But that sounds like it was a little bit of a tough day, with all due respect. They're only 6 making the leaderboards. Let's take a look who's been hot for this week. Oh, man, Ron Crawford, of course, clicking in there at, nice job by Ron here right now. Looks like about 62% or so. Alessandro Vegas Al still getting it done here this week with his high volume. And congratulations to Al as well. Look at this. Al cruising here right now with his plays here. Wow, Al 9-2 over last week. There's Brian also 6-1. Hey, you could pick one a day and go 6-1. We'd do it every time. And you got some other high volume guys in there like Stephen Duncan as well. Good job to the crew. And let's get ready to roll here. Hey, use that promo code TonyT at checkout. Save 15% off all premium pick packages. Click on the All Cappers tab. That's how you can find the handicapper of your choice. Click on their handicapper profile page, and that's how you get signed up. Check me out over at Tony'sPicks.com, where I'll have my premium picks. I had an okay week here in the NBA with some winners. I also had a good week in the NFL, and won my college play in the semifinals. We'll be ready to go here next Monday night with the college football national championship game as well. And man, can't wait for our NFL divisional playoff games here this weekend. It should be a great weekend. But first, we got to get through a few more days of, a little bit of a grind here in the next few weeks. We get ready to head in towards March Madness and then the baseball season. So it should be a good run here at Tony's Picks. Check me out. Why not get my 3-day all sports pass, run you right into the weekend here right now. Thursday, Friday, Saturday for $99. I have more than a bundle of plays, so check it out over at Tony'sPicks.com. All right, start talking previews right now. I want to get your picks from the chat pros in the chat. See if I can bring myself up here and get ready with the show here on Night Moves. All right, got a like I said, 7-game NBA card. Take a look at some of those contests right now. Get ready for you guys in the chat as well. Joining me. Okay. Let's see. Oh, a few more here right now. Cranked BMX. Oh my goodness, Cranked BMX. I hate when that happens. You don't want that to happen. Uh, there. Timmy talking a little Syracuse basketball. How about that? And Cast Blast. Nice to see you, Cast Blast, on here. Okay. Good to see you. And Sunny Schlotfield as well in the chat. And yep, big night there for Rock Chalk Jayhawk and the win there over Iowa State. Man, how about that? Didn't feel like anybody, Iowa State. Just felt like I know a lot of people were on Iowa State in that one. Uh, I was on another show talking about it, talking about my pick on Kansas last night. Let's go to the NBA though here right now and get to our previews for the action. A pretty decent little card here on Wednesday night. All right, the Toronto Raptors are going to get the festivities started here with their game against the Indiana Pacers here on Wednesday. With the Raptors going to be a road favorite in this one by 2.5 and 222. If you're an old guy like me, you remember that show. And let's see what we got here in this one with the Raptors. Hey, man, I tell you what, when you look at these two teams, I mean, a lot of unders. I know that's for sure. Indiana comes in here on a 3-game winning streak right now. It's Indiana, another one of those teams where they've been, pretty bad here during the regular season, but maybe they're starting to find themselves a little bit here. We know they had a great year last year, but just hasn't worked out this year with their major injury. And they've been maybe a little bit overrated for sure with a 9-31 straight up record. Or I should say maybe underrated, for being 9-31, they're still 13-9 against the spread at home this season, 19-16 against the spread as an underdog. For Toronto here, they come in off of the back-to-back games against Philly at home. They did lose the second leg. They won the first game 116-115 as a 1-point dog, and then they were an underdog a couple nights later or the next night, and they lost 115-102. Toronto has not been a great favorite this season. They're just 9-15 against the spread overall. So you have an Indiana team that at least does cover the spread at home, and Toronto on the road not so much, even though Toronto has covered 6 of their last 9 games coming into this one. Toronto's also gone under in 11 of their last 16 games overall. Toronto is 8-16 to the under as a favorite this season. Indiana is 14-21 to the under as a dog. Indiana's gone under in 6 of their last 7 games coming in. So, like I said, both teams heavy trends really to the under. Toronto has won 6 of their last 9 coming in, and they've also covered 6 of their last 9 games against this fairly frequent opponent, the Indiana Pacers here. Pacers still just 3-13 in their last 16. It hasn't necessarily improved winning-wise, but usually they're getting enough points, or at least on average, getting enough points to cover these games. And here you're getting the number here at home. But man, the thing that stands out to me is the steady unders between these two teams, despite the fact that these two teams have gone 3-6, 6-3 to the over in their last 9 meetings. Let's hear from the chat right now and see what you got in this one between the Raptors and the Pacers here on Night Moves tonight. Really appreciate it. All right. And we got here. Oh, okay, Sonny, I got you, man. Yeah, hey, you know me. I'm Big Nebraska fan. Here we go. LALB, he was talking about his winners there. Mr. Westwood says the Pacers ruined his spreads. I mean, that's the funny thing about it, right? I mean, you could be one of the worst teams in the league this year, like the Pacers have been, but usually they're just getting enough points there. All right. Let's see here. BI to hit some threes. Andre says Pacers and the points. Maybe the under there for him. Greg says Indiana keeps rolling here. He likes them to win this game there, and that looks like an under to me. And welcome to Duck in the chat. Let's see who else here. Greg says the dogs will be barking on this Wednesday. And Timmy says he likes the Raptors here. LALB likes the over in this one. Greg says Pacers and the under here. All right, yeah, I got to go with the under in this one. I mean, these are two pretty hardcore unders. Yeah, maybe in the season series a little bit. It does go over. These two teams met twice back in November. Indiana lost them both, including here at home, 129 to 111. That one did go over 235 and a half and a 129 to 111 win for Toronto. The second meeting was a big time under, though, as Toronto won at home 97 to 95 as a 9.5 point favorite in that one. Big time under there. It was 233 and a half in that one. So this game is about 12 points lower than that one right now. But again, you have a Toronto team here that, as a favorite, they do go under 67% of the time. And as an underdog, Indiana goes under 60% of the time. So I think I'm going to take the under here in this one. Timmy says that that the Pacers seem to be turning a corner a little bit, and says the Raptors are playoff bound. It does look like it right now. It's close here, obviously, but Raptors are doing a pretty nice job this season, no doubt about it. Maybe even overachieving a little bit. I know we'd like to see them a little bit more here, but yeah, right now looking pretty good within the playoff bubble. See who else we got here. Timmy says he doesn't like it, though. A little bit of revenge. You might be worried about that. And let's see here. Greg says they owe Toronto, right? He says because of the season series right now, you've seen the Pacers win the first two games here. Although I do have the Pacers winning the meeting back in December. I'm sorry, in last February, last meeting of last season, Pacers won by 20. All right, and let's see here. And Timmy says he likes the revenge angle here a little bit for Indiana. No, I'm with you. I'm probably leaning Indiana for sure in this game. Like I said, they just continue to get the money. But 2.5, not a lot of points. You almost got to win this one, but I'm going to take the under. I think that sounds like the better move. All right, next up. All right, now this one's interesting. I mean, this is the matchup that is like the Mr. Interesting battle of the day here, if you will, with Cleveland and Philadelphia. Right, you got two teams that have pretty much the same record. Cleveland 22-19, Philadelphia 22-16. Well, okay, maybe you got Philly there by a game and a half, but better, but still 22 wins each here. But it really doesn't compare to the team spread record. So they both have 22 wins. They're both pretty decent teams here. But Philadelphia is 23-14 against the spread. Cleveland's 13-28 against the spread. So Philly underrated, Cleveland overrated this season when it comes to odds makers and bettors here. And that's been the case. I mean, that's been the storyline of these teams the whole time. I will say this, though, as Philadelphia, we've talked about them being a good spread team, but it's mostly on the road. They're actually 9-10 against the spread at home. Now they are 14-8 against the spread as a favorite. And, Cleveland has just been dismal, but, I think that the numbers are starting to catch up a little bit. That was a little bit of a weird run there at the beginning of the season for Cleveland in some of those contests. But no matter how you look at it, Philly is a much better spread team. Now, how that equates when you're talking about a game that's virtually a pick 'em here, that might be what the job that we got to uncover here. Uh, Cleveland has gone just 1-5 against the spread in their last 6 games coming in. They've beaten Philadelphia in 4 of the last 5 meetings. The team's already met once this season. Cleveland actually won it at home, 132-121, but they didn't cover the spread in that one. They were favored by 11.5. That's how long ago this was, but it just kind of emphasizes what we've seen from Cleveland, just usually favored by too many points. And even in that one, when they were favored by 11.5, they only won by 11. So it would make sense that Cleveland, which has won 4 out of the last 5 games against the Philadelphia 76ers, are just 1-6 against the spread against Philadelphia in the last 7 meetings between these two teams. Philadelphia has covered 6 of their last 8 games coming in. They've won 6 of their last 8 games as well. Philadelphia has gone over in 8 of their last 12 games overall. They've been a little bit of a team to the over so far this season. Cleveland's been a bit of an under team, but they are 10-7 to the over on the road, despite the fact that they've gone under in 6 of their last 9 games. 5 straight meetings between these two teams, however, have gone over. So let's hear from you in the chat here in this one and see what you got. Really appreciate you guys being with me here on Night Moves. Let's go to the chat pros here and see what they got in this one. Mr. Wesker says the Cavs can take a hike. Basically, he's not too fond of this. Anybody who's bet this Cavs team this year is not happy. I'll tell you that. Again, I mean, Cavs basically hitting about 30% against the spread this season. Really bad. Timmy says he likes the under. He doesn't think they go nuts. I don't know, man. I feel like this one, like I said, the season series, they've met just once this year, but 5 straight overs between the two teams. Let's see here. Andre says, take the Cavs. He does like the Cavs here still to get it done. Should, as with any Philly game here, take a look at the injury report. Might be important here in this one, especially after what we saw. Let's see here what we're dealing with here. I'm showing the total actually moving here to about 237.5 right now. Embiid probable, Embiid probable, George probable, Dean Wade questionable. So see the stars of Philadelphia in there, it sounds like. Hello to Cal Dog in the chat today. Let's see here. Greg says it looks funny. Probably money. Take Philly 120-117, he says. And Andre taking the Cavs here. LALB liking the over in this one. Greg says someone's out for sure. Spread's too low. The Cavs should be favored, he says. Well, I don't know. Why do you think that, Greg? Well, I know why Greg might think that, but like I said, I mean, you're dealing with two teams basically the same record, and it's almost a pick 'em. Right, let's see here. Also, hey, Step Papa Steve. Nice to have Step Papa Steve in there. Good to have him in the chat. Also here, Cal, let's see. Mr. Wesker says Philadelphia playing well at home. Yeah, they're just 10-9 at home right now, but definitely been picking it up here of late with the home wins. They beat up on Washington there last week. And Timmy says he likes it over here in this one. Like Spider to get some big points there. Yeah, and Mr. Says Ramon, don't forget, it's not just about the straight up, but it's about against the spread too, where they've been definitely been covering more home games of late. LALB's on the Sixers here. Cal Dog says he's going over. Can't trust the Cavs right now. Timmy says, when you got Embiid in there for sure, that kind of holds things back a little bit. Hey, Gerald Dreyer, man. Gerard Dreyer, good to see Gerard in the chat. Thanks, Gerard. Good to have you here tonight. And Greg says that Philly, kind of gets up for good teams right now. That's not a great sign, right? Again, you talk about playoff bound teams. Hey, these guys are fighting here a little bit to make sure that they can get into the postseason here. I mean, they're kind of right on the edge, I would think, right now with these two teams. So, all right, I'll make my call here in this one. And let's see here. Philly beat them and lose to Utah. All right, I will take Philadelphia in this one to win. I think they can handle this game at home, especially with the stars in there in this game. Like I said, I won't equate it to the spreads because it's part of it, right? But again, both teams similar records. We'll say that Cleveland as an underdog. I guess they're still an underdog here. Yeah, pretty much across the board. You're looking at 1s and 1.5s. This total, though, like I said, maybe it's just ticked up a notch. All right, next up. Utah Jazz on the road taking on the Chicago Bulls. Bulls favored here by 3.5. Maybe 3 now. In fact, I'm starting to see maybe even 2.5s here as the move looks to be on Utah a little bit. Utah certainly has had their struggles, but they did come through big time the other night with a win, 123-112 at Cleveland. That's Utah for you. They'll shock you here and there, right? They were getting 13 in that one, won by 11. We have the Jazz on that night. For the Bulls here, they are on the back-to-back. They played it at Houston last night, lost 119-113. They covered the spread. They were getting 12.5 in that one. So, but second straight cover for Houston. Still, they haven't been, or for Chicago. Still, they haven't been winning a lot of games here of late. They've struggled. We know Chicago's one of the worst favorites in the league for sure. 4-13-1 against the spread for the Bulls. Not great. Utah though 22-17 against the spread. They have been okay for sure. Not necessarily on the road. Most of their best games have come at home, but they are 19-18 ATS as an underdog here. The two teams did play their first meeting already this season. What a game it was! If you remember, back in November. And Utah won at home 150-147 in double overtime as a 4.5-point dog of 297 points scored in that game. Wow. Chicago's been a strong under team here so far this season. This one kind of reeks of a high-scoring game, but still tough to ignore the fact that, Chicago 6-14 to the under at home. The Bull also 6-12 to the under as a favorite. Now, Utah's 24-15 to the over. Then we know they score, they play in some high-scoring games. But I would note that they are 8-10 to the under on the road here and going up against a Bulls team that actually has, like I said, they are an under team. You might think of them as maybe, free-flowing team, but not necessarily. Now, Utah does go over in 60% of their games as an underdog here this season. Utah comes in here not only off of that win over Chicago, they've actually won 2 of their last 3. Chicago's lost 4 of their last 5. Utah, though, has lost 6 of their last 8 overall, and they've lost 5 of the last 7 meetings to the Chicago Bulls. Still, Utah's covered 4 of their last 6. It goes to show you they're usually getting enough points, and they might be again here, although it is just 3 or 2.5 right now. Utah has gone over in 13 of their last 20, but just 5 overs and 5 unders in their last 10. Chicago's gone under in 4 of their last 5. And like I said, man, 11 of their last 13 at home, although 5 of the last 6 meetings between the two teams. Interconference game here, but they've gone over in 5 of the last 6. All right, we're ready to hear from the chat pros here in this one. See what you have here with Utah and Chicago. That total's big, and Utah, and like I said, the Bulls are an under team, but can the Utah reel them into a little bit of a high scoring game? I think, especially on the back to back here. Here we go. Let's go to the chat, and let's see what we got. All right, good to see Craig in the chat today. Good to have you, Craig. He's not much of a sports bettor, but it's good to have him in there, it looks like. Mr. Wesker says, Utah shocks all right. Andre says he's got the over in this one at 245. Just can't help himself here, says Andre, with the, maybe what we've seen. Like I said, I mean, Utah, some of these games just out of control. They obviously have no defense for these guys. The Bulls are the ones with the injuries, of course. Giddey remains out. Also, Phillips is questionable in this one. Kobe White's probable, so still missing Giddey. I get that, but a little bit healthier than they were in the last game. Greg says, when you got two bums like this, take the points with Utah. They can win the game on the road here. Again, Timmy says the Bulls have been not too good the last few games. He'll play them. And let's see, Chicago's probably tired, Greg says here, and getting the points. Let's see, Chicago probably tired than they good getting points. Yeah, but they're favored, though. We know that. They're favored to win over Utah for sure. And Mr. Wesker is saying, it doesn't mean anything when you play the Rockets there like the Bulls did in that loss and cover the spread, because the Rockets are just struggling here right now all of a sudden. What's going on with the Rockets here? I'm not favored by too many points is what's wrong with the Rockets, right? Timmy says the Bulls are slightly better than manure. And Andre says, really, Jazz struggling defensively. And let's see here. And also that the energy wasted in that game, in that loss there yesterday. Houston did kind of pull away there in the end. They needed kind of a second half surge as Chicago led at halftime in that one. LALB might be with me here on the under here. And I think that's what I'm going to do. I know 245, but like I said, Chicago at home they're hardcore under. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I mean, you look at the trends overall. I mean, this team is, near 30%, 70% unders this season in this role of a home favorite. So Utah, they may bait you in, but like I said, for a team that's 24-15 to the over, just 8-10 to the under on the road, I got to take the under here in this one with Utah and Chicago. Going with LALV here. Greg says Utah money line, good to go here. Take that dog. Jimmy says the spread reads like it'll be the Bulls getting some guys back here. Yeah, everybody but Giddey. It looks like kind of they missed a few games there. Cal Dog says White is out here with rest. But I think that was last game, actually, wasn't it? All right, let's see. Could maybe overtime, Greg said. Utah point go under at home, says Greg. And, okay, Timmy says not sure about White in there. Okay, good job, you guys. Let's keep a move on now on our 7-game card here on Wednesday. Next up. Well, we got a real barn burner here with the Nets taking on the Pelicans on Wednesday night, and we're previewing them all until we get to until we get to April or so, and then we'll once baseball starts, we'll kick games like this to the curb. But Brooklyn comes in losing 4 straight coming into this one with losses to Orlando, the Clippers, Memphis, and last game they lost to Dallas on the road, 113-105 as a 3.5-point dog. Brooklyn is favored in this game. And I think that's the big news. This will be only the second time that Brooklyn has been favored all season long. They covered the first time. They won and covered the first time that they were favored to win. And they're favored in this one over New Orleans. I mean, come on, if you're New Orleans here, I mean, you got to win some games. If you can't beat another fellow cellar dweller like the Brooklyn Nets, what are we doing here? Uh, at least New Orleans, I mean, as bad as they've been, 9-33, Brooklyn just 11-26. So, look, New Orleans here, lost a couple in a row here to Orlando and Denver. They did beat Washington a few games back. These two teams did meet back in December, and Brooklyn did win it 119-101. I will say this: Brooklyn has been, beating bad teams there for the most part. Obviously that's kind of where they've racked up their wins. It's just New Orleans struggling right now. Even if you wanted to take them here, it might be kind of tough to find the gumption to do it. New Orleans has lost 11 of their last 12 games coming in. Brooklyn, not only that 4-game losing streak, but they've lost 7 of their last 8 overall. Now, Brooklyn has dominated this series, so that could be the tiebreaker for you if you were trying to decide. Brooklyn is 11-3 straight up in their last 14, 11-4 ATS in their last 15 against New Orleans. So they've won dominating the series here between these two teams. Brooklyn's gone under in 5 of their last 7 coming into this one, while New Orleans has also gone under in 5 of their last 7. Talk about that series dominance by Brooklyn, and also 12 of the last 18 meetings between these two teams have gone over. So let's see what you guys have in the chat in this one with the matchup between Brooklyn and New Orleans here at the Smoothie King Center. All right, and see, we go to the chat here right now. And we're going to go with Mr. Weskers. He likes the Nets in this one on the money line. And says here, they've been on the road here a little bit. 3rd straight road game, as a matter of fact, for Brooklyn here. Greg says those dogs will be barking. Maybe today is the day for New Orleans. Like I said, this is the NBA. You got to find your spots to win, maybe especially at home. But unfortunately, they're up against a team that quite frankly, beats them most of the time. Greg says the Nets will win on the road. And Pelicans might be the worst. Yeah, I was thinking that too, Mr. Westers. What do you think? The Sacramento, I don't know. It's close, but those two teams right there, I feel like the bottom feeders of the league right now. The records show it, but no hope. To at least New Orleans, I don't know. Maybe we've kind of said like, hey, New Orleans looks like a young team that could get better. I don't know if we can say the same thing for the Kings, but also looking at the Pelicans, you're like, yeah, it's been a couple of years here now. They're supposed to be better than this by now, but with Zion, all of his ups and downs a little bit. Obviously, the man is not focused off the court at all. This guy's led around by his what. All right, let's see here. Porter take advantage here, go over in his PR there. Pelicans should have won yesterday. Brooklyn nice and rested. Yeah, good effort there for sure for New Orleans in that game against Denver, but still, with Denver not fully healthy, Denver actually got the money. But again, here it is, right? Try to equate this if you think about it, right? Looking at yesterday's game, Denver comes into New Orleans, they're a 2-point favorite, right? And they did, beat them and covered, which is, it's interesting because are you telling me that A Denver team, well, now Murray, that was an issue too, obviously, there in the game yesterday, at least heading into the game. But then Murray ended up playing in the game and he had just 35 points. But still, even with Murray in the game, the spread for that game, when the game actually went off, was still just 2.5. So a Denver team without Jokic is a 2-point favorite against the Pelicans, and now the Nets, one of the worst teams in the league, is also only a 2-point favorite. It just doesn't make much sense. Maybe I'm just a little bit bitter after I couldn't really pull off a winning day there yesterday, but hey, at least. At least we had the in that game we had the total right here on Night Moves last night with that over, but I just think that's, a little bit bizarre. That's why I think the Pelicans should be able to get a win here. They played Denver pretty tough. They weren't getting enough points, but kind of weird though. There's just no way that a Denver team without Jokic is the same as this Nets team. Now I know that the back-to-back is built in there a little bit, but does a back-to-back, mean that much when you're playing a fellow crummy team? Okay, let's see here. Porter in his threes. And Mr. Wesker says they should have a bet. They should be better. LALB's on the Nets. And Greg says they will be really tired after that game. See, Mr. Wesker, I thought you were saying, man, this guy is a great coach. And Zion really can't not doing much, right, against that Denver lineup. That was the one he was supposed to have the better game, right? And lots of rebounds here. Brooklyn's a tricky team, says Greg. You don't know what to expect. Yeah, look, I think if anything, you'd still always look to when you got two bad teams. I mean, you think of the spread record here, but it's New Orleans that is struggling for sure of late ATS. I think Brooklyn's at least got some covers here of late. All right, let's see here. Timmy says he likes Charlotte game. Oh, the big threes. Hey, Jay, nice to see Jay in here. Says I take too much time getting to the point. Yeah, you might be right. But you know what? We like to get to all of the picks in there, Jay. We like to highlight it's not about my picks as much as it is, I think, about the chat pros and giving us that great advice in the chat. So I'd love to hear from you with your picks as well. All right. If you really want them faster, just get the subscription, and it's all written up, and you get my best plays. All right, let's see here. Pelicans were winning the whole game, and they fell apart. Yeah, and let's see here. I think that is it, though, actually, on this one, and I got to make my call here in this game. And I got the under here in this one as well. Give me the under here with Brooklyn and New Orleans. I'll take under 229 here right now. Man, 4 games and 3 unders. We don't need to just go under, I guess. All right, let's keep it moving here right now and go with the Nuggets are on the road here, taking on the Mavs. And this one's a pick. Mavericks could be up to a 1-point favorite. Starting to see a little bit of movement here. Maybe the Mavs will be the favorite. We just talked about Denver, so I don't have to talk about them anymore. Save some time. There, but Denver 27 and 13 coming in. Dallas opposite here, pretty much 15 and 25. Denver coming in with wins over Milwaukee and New Orleans. They've been covering here, like I said, ever since Jokic went out. You can say what you want about him not in the lineup and how it will affect them. Denver's doing just fine without Jokic. I think it shows that why they still are a formidable team in the West. And, with a healthy Jokic can still do battle with the Thunder for sure because of how good this team has been doing. For Dallas here, meanwhile, off of a win over Brooklyn, 113-105 last time out. It's a 3.5-point favorite, but Dallas 12-9 against the spread at home. Denver 14-9 against the spread on the road. Denver's, the better spread team here, the better cover, if you will. It's just that Denver here will be coming off that back-to-back. Dallas is rested after their win over Brooklyn, although they have lost 2 of their last 3 overall. For Dallas here, they come in just 4-8 in their last 12 games straight up, 2-7 against the spread in their last 9 games overall. Denver has won and covered 4 of their last 5 coming in. They've gone 5-1 ATS on the road in their last 6 games. Dallas has gone under in 6 straight games. They're 8-13 to the under at home, although Denver is 15-8 to the over on the road. So you might be conflict there a little bit, but 4 of the last 5 meetings between the two teams have gone under, and Dallas has gone under in 6 straight games coming in right now. So see what you got in the chat. This feels like supposed to be the Dallas spot with the game at a pick 'em, and again, like I said, even with last night's game, right? When you talk about the spread and Denver getting the money last night, Christian Brown questionable here. Valanciunas remains out at this time. We got the bad news with AD today. Look, I mean, we could complain about AD being injured, but when you got to go for surgery, I mean, you can call him fragile, but you can't say that he's faking it or anything like that. He's got I think they said a torn ligament in his wrist, not a broken wrist, right? I think they said surgery for some torn ligaments, but Brandon Williams questionable, PJ Washington questionable here for Dallas as well. Gafford is probable with an ankle turn here in this one, but just bad news. And you think of Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving. What did they say? They played together 13 minutes on the floor together. That's been the disaster for Dallas, and that just looks bad for what this organization and the moves that they've made, right? All started with Cubans selling the team. All right, let's go to some of the chat here and see what we got in this one. Appreciate it. Here we go. Timmy Two Shoes is on Dallas. He said a few teams fell apart last night. And Mr. Wester says, Ramon, don't forget about the Timberwolves. They continue to astound as well.
Final.
But it is really doing yourself a disservice, Mr. Wester's not including the Thunder. I mean, you can be that guy and say, look at me, I'm fading the Thunder. But it's hard to argue that their team is the dominant team in the league this season. Let's see here. Timmy likes Flag to have a big game in there. And Greg says Dallas can get this one. This one sets up better for them, probably with on that back-to-back, right? Cal Dog likes the Mavs too. But Mr. Wester says, this team, this offense just isn't good enough. And Aaron Gordon might have a good matchup here, he says. And Greg says, so far they've been pretty even without Joker. Take Dallas. That is not true at all. They've been just fine. They've been strong here without Joker right now. Actually covering, I think, at even a stronger clip here. Like I said, 4-1 ATS the last 5, although I think he's been out a few more games than that. And there was a stretch in there where they weren't covering, that's for sure. I think the first adjustments, but maybe that's good coaching. LALV likes the under here. And Mr. Wesker's not believing it. He thinks it's a fake surgery. It's always going to be collecting the checks, so that's for sure. And Greg says Dallas is in the Pelicans. They're slightly better. Hey, you want to say hello to Zane Youssef in the chat tonight. Nice to have Zane in there. I think he's looking for a safety dance here, possibly. And Greg says, no Edwards, no problem. Oh, and talking about that other. Okay, I'm going with Denver here still. I'll just take my lumps if Denver doesn't win this one against Dallas. I'd rather take the team that, They're much better straight up here, obviously. Like I said, complete opposite records here. And Denver's just done just fine without Joker. And I'm not going to sweat the back-to-back here a little bit in this one. Just coming over from New Orleans, not a far jaunt at all. And Denver wouldn't have won rings without Joker. Oh, no doubt about that. All right, Christie for 3 threes. Let's keep it moving here right now. A couple games left in the NBA. Plus we're taking our time because the schedule's kind of light. Although the college schedule is massive, let's face it. I feel bad only picking 5 games. I had trouble deciding which games to pick. So maybe we can take some requests tonight. All right, here we go. Let's go to the Knickerbockers on the road here against. I'm going to vote for Sacramento as the worst team, but all of a sudden they won 2 in a row. So watch out, the Kings here lighten the beam twice over Houston and over the Lakers. There the other night. What a shocker that was. Kings led all the way in that one. And again, Kings here 10-30 straight up, 15-25 ATS. The Knicks are 25-14 straight up, 21-19 against the spread, but on the road is where they have their problems covering. That's for sure. They're just 6-13 on the road against the spread this season, although 19-16 as a favorite, but 12 points, against anybody here, but still. These Kings have been hella bad, that's for sure. These two teams have not yet met here this season. The Knicks are just 3-11 against the spread. Their last 14 games overall. They've lost actually 5 of their last 7, but they've owned the Kings. Their teams just meet, twice a year, but the Knicks are 8-1 against the spread. Their last 9 games against the Sacramento Kings. They did win here last year, 133-104, and they won the home game 143-120, easily covering there. So they've dominated this team for sure, but you got to win by a dozen to cover this number. Total 232 in this one. The Kings are on 2-7 straight up in their last 9, 3-6 against the spread in those last 9 games. 13 of the last 20 meetings between these two teams have gone under. Sacramento's gone under in 5 of their last 6 games here at home. Let's hear from you in the chat in this one between the Kings and the Knicks here in Sacktown. All right, let's go to the chat here and see what you got in this one. All right, it's going to be Knicks by 20. Says Timmy Juicy likes the Knicks to blow them out of the water here in this one. New York to blast them out of the arena. And let's see, Kings money line maybe for Mr. Weskers there. That'd be a good score here. Look, the Kings have won a couple in a row. I want to say hello to the Bronx in the chat today. Also, Toaster Poodle joining us in the chat. Thank you, Toaster Poodle. Not much opinions from our new visitors here on sports betting, but it's nice to have the viewers here today. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe here on the Tony's Picks YouTube channel, 50,000 subscriber juggernaut, one of the top handicapping channels in all of YouTube sports handicapping channels. All right, let's see here. Timmy says McBride for 3 threes, Clarkson for a couple of threes. I think Timmy's on the Knicks. Greg says Knicks will crown their, beat them 122-110. That's going to be right on the number, but that's a big time over from Greg right there. Knicks, look at LALV says the Knicks have been crushing the Kings. There it is. And let's see. Cal Dog says he would have went to this game if you known the Knicks were coming to town. Zane says, just skip this game. This is not a great game, says Zane. Appreciate it, Zane. And Greg says it's just a practice game for the Knicks. Cal Dog liking the over here. And LALV's on the Knicks. Timmy says, the Knicks will play with you a little bit and then they just crush you in the end. And Mr. Wesker says, I don't know if there's anything to those last two wins. Obviously, Mr. Wesker already talked down about Houston a little bit, but still, Houston's been a pretty good club this year. Kings beat them by 13. They beat the Lakers by 12. Could it be, man, if they could get a sweep of beating the Houston, the Lakers, and the Knicks, this would be the best results of the season. Mm-hmm. I'm going to say that the success gets to the heads of the Kings here. I'll take the Knicks to roll them here in this one right now. Give me the Knicks on the road. So that's a pretty good stat, the dominating series here for the Knicks. Granted, they only play a couple times a year, but I think Schroeder's still out, right? Another suspension here a little bit. And then Keegan Murray. He's also out of this game. So Yabusele is questionable there. And hey, I want to say hello to Narayan in the chat. He says, who are you calling the Knickers there? That's right, the Knickerbockers. Narayan, nice to have you in the chat. Who are you calling the Kickers? All right. Good to have you guys in the chat tonight. Man, we're down to the last game. Man, I want to go even slower. We're running out of NBA games here. All right, well, here we go with the Wizards and the Clippers. Another couple of weak teams, but talking about turning it around. I mean, obviously the Clippers, whatever was going on there at the beginning of the season, I know we were kidding about it with the Chris Paul disease or whatever is going on, but the Clippers have definitely turned it around somewhat, even if they did lose a couple of games after their big winning streak. Now they're back to winning again here right now and covering consecutive wins over some weak teams. Detroit's good, we know, but they beat Brooklyn, they beat Detroit on the road, covered the spread, whipped up on Charlotte here 2 nights ago. We were on the Clippers in that one, so they are favored by 12 here now, and maybe that's starting to get a little bit too Clippery, a little bit too much, but Clippers still on a roll here right now, having covered 10 of their last 12. They've gone 10-2 straight up and against the spread right now in their last 12 games overall. Washington just 1-4 straight up and against the spread in their last 5 games. The Wizards are 0-8 against the spread against the Clippers in the last 8 meetings between these two teams. 4 of the last 5 meetings between the two teams have gone under. Washington's gone under in 7 of their last 9 games overall. The Clippers have gone over, however, in 4 of 6. We know the Clippers kind of one of the more under teams, if you will, in the league, but their records still show they're kind of 50-50 on those. But just been dominance by the Clippers. These two teams have not yet met this season, but they met a year ago here, and it was 110-93 back in January of 2025. They were favored by 14.5 on that night. They won by 17. Here they're only favored by 12. Here, but I don't know. Still, the Wizards have gotten a few covers. Still 7-12 ATS on the road, 14-21 ATS as a dog. Now the Clippers don't have a good spread record either, but remember they've had some struggles here a little bit for sure. All right, welcome Narayan there. He says he's he was in Australia. Okay, he's in Australia watching. I know the NBA is big in Australia. I know the NBL is big in Australia too. I'm a big NBL fan there. Narayan, tell me if you watch the NBL there in your home country of Australia. One of my favorite leagues to watch. Look, I do this late night show and then usually get right into an NBL game. All right, Mr. Wesker said, yeah, Ramon, the Clippers barely survived against the Hornets. Yeah, but they were favored by 5 and they won the game by 8. So I thought that was okay. And Timmy Chooch is going to go with the Wizards. And look, it does look like we're going to have kind of a delayed uh, return for Trae Young. This quad injury has sidelined him here a little bit. I don't know, it does seem like awkward timing, but he's still out at this time. Kawhi is also questionable for this game with an ankle injury, but Zubats is nearing his return, and it could come tonight. Here, he's still listed as questionable, but basically, this is about as close as he's been to getting to return here right now. Derek Jones remains out for the Clippers. And says, Mr. Wester says, nobody but Harden and Leonard are doing anything on this team, right? Remember when the Clippers had the best bench going? Now, not so much. Greg says Clippers will take them down here for sure. LALV likes the under here in this one. Cal Dog, though, says go over here. All right. Timmy says the Clips are going to rip them here, parlay them with the Knicks. And is Leonard going to drop 40? Yeah, you know what? Ankle injury here for Leonard. But, the one thing is when it's not his knees bothering him, he usually finds a way to make the lineup. And look, he's done a good job here. He's played in so far 29 of 39 games for Kawhi. So, he's going to get more rest than a lot of players. So it's a little bit of a question mark here. All right, let's see here. They'll be knocking down those threes. Cal Dog says, yeah, but the Wizards are better than the Hornets. LALB, thank you very much. Nice to see you. Thank you for participating in the chat pros tonight. Always great to have you. Hey, Jive at 5 is joining us in the chat. Nice to see Jive at 5. He says the Lakers got a better bench than the Clippers. Isn't that right? I mean, funny to say that, right? The Clippers, the last two seasons probably had one of the better last year. I thought they had the best bench going, but not so much. I think that was part of their problem for a lot of that part of the season where they were just so bad. And Mr. Wesker, you got to think Mr. Wesker's right that this look, I love the young trio now, and I'm not talking about Trae Young. I'd almost try to, I'd rather just go with these guys, but maybe Young can assimilate to this team a little bit. All right, I'm on the Clippers to roll here in this one. We finally got around to the pick, didn't we? All right, your guys' picks are more important than mine, but I'm always willing to make a pick on every game here on Night Moves. That's what we do here on the show. All right, let's get into a little college ball here, shall we, with the action on Wednesday night. Got some good games here. I think we can find a handful of games here, and maybe we'll add a few as we go along, because like I said, I took the top 5 games on this card, but there are a lot of good games here. It didn't feel like some of the top teams were in action there last night. So, look, it's a mix of major conference and mid-major here. Let's get to it. And there's Jay. Yeah, Jay, it does look like Kawhi. Have to say question. But I always say, like I said, when it's not Kawhi's knees, he usually can make the lineup. It feels like. And this is an ankle turn here right now. All right. And Jimmy says Kawhi's been going nuts. And look, I'm unabashed. I think Mr. Weskers knows I'm a big Kawhi guy here. So I don't like the Kawhi, like I've always say. I mean, this guy has no cartilage in his knees, and he still dropped 40 on you. All right, let's go to college ball now and take a look at some of the best matchups in college basketball here for Wednesday. And we'll start it off here with The Iowa Hawkeyes taking on the Purdue Boilermakers. And, earlier I talked about or some of the teams at the top of the charts here right now. And look, my poll may differ from yours, but Purdue here right now, probably a top five team for sure at 15-1 coming in. Iowa comes in here off of a couple of losses right now. Uh, Conference losses to Minnesota and Illinois. So I was given a little bit back here. Purdue is on a roll here, no doubt about it. But they have failed to cover in each of the last two games, starting to lay some big points in conference play at home. This is their third straight home game. They won but didn't cover against Washington. They won but did not cover against Penn State. So look, Iowa's a very good spread team. They're actually 11-5 ATS, although just 1-2 ATS on the road. We just talked about two of those games here right now. Also, Iowa 1-2 against the spread as an underdog. Ironically, in those roles for Iowa here, 1-2 as an to the under as a road dog. Let me see what you got here. I'm stumbling here on it a little bit, but for Iowa here, those losses before the losses, they did beat UCLA at home by 13 as a 16.5 point favorite. Iowa's gone 10-4 against the spread, their last 14 games overall, but they're just 1-5 against the spread against the Boilermakers. So Purdue's covered 8 of their last 11. They've won 5 straight at home and 7 straight overall. So let me hear what you have in this one if you want between Iowa and Purdue. Total here 142.5. I kind of want to just take the over here in this one. But again, Purdue has kind of dominated this series. They won the meeting last year at Iowa 90-81 as a 6.5 point favorite. They haven't played here in a few years. Right, last time they played at West Lafayette was in 2023, and Purdue won 87-68 at home. We get some comments from you in the chat in this one with Iowa and Purdue. And Timmy likes Purdue to cover. Mr. Wesker says, he likes Iowa, doesn't know if he has a real feeling on it. But look, Iowa's done a pretty good job, like I said, against the spread. It's just a matter of can they overcome this Purdue team, which presents matchup problems, I think. Greg has it 75-68 Boilers, so that'd be a cover for Iowa there for sure. And I think Cal Dog likes Purdue. Mr. Westford maybe liking the dog there. Greg says Purdue's not that good without Zach Edey. I don't know. It looks like maybe they're a different type of team right now, but it doesn't seem like they're missing a beat. I mean, they obviously have one of the best players in the country, too. Yes, Edey was something special last year and, made them tremendously formidable. And, he was such a dominant big man. It's easy to say that. But when you got Braden Smith here, who just is, certainly one of the candidates for the player of the year coming in, and Kaufman Wren has done a great job. Mostly, they've got Oscar Clough, who's kind of been the Zach Edey guy. He's never going to be that, but 15-1 is hard to argue, though, Greg. It does say, though, that they are overrated. They're 9-7 against the spread, though. And Jay says Iowa lost him money this year. Yeah, I don't know though. I think on this one, Greg says didn't Minnesota beat Purdue? The one loss was to Iowa State for Purdue this season, and Iowa State was obviously undefeated until last game. I don't think they've met Purdue yet this season. In fact, let me see here. I don't think, with the Big Ten is such an interesting conference. I don't think Let me see. Oh, they beat them 85-57 in the first meeting. There we go. I thought it was later in the season. Okay, so Jacob. Oh, Jacob. Got it. Jacob. That's what. Jacob Zakai. Jacob Zakai. Got it, Jacob. I think I got it right there finally. It says Iowa cost him money, but like I said, I wouldn't fret on that too much. Now, maybe this wouldn't be the right game considering Purdue has dominated Iowa in the past, but maybe you weren't wrong in those games. Like I said, Iowa's still 11-5 against the spread. That's still going to get it done eventually. All right. And Greg said, "What about that Wisconsin game yesterday?" Yeah, oh yeah, we did uh, talk about it there at the beginning of the broadcast for sure with that incredible game last night with Wisconsin there. Yeah, for sure. We talked about it at the beginning of the broadcast there with the both teams hitting those 3-pointers and the Badgers hitting that buzzer beater at the end. Minnesota led that game by 11. And Wisconsin, pretty good, 14-33 from three in that one. So, all right, I'm going to go over in this one with Iowa and Purdue. After all that, we finally got around to the pick. I'll take the over. Mr. Wester. Oh, okay. Purdue, a whole nother level. He says can't talk himself into Iowa. Talking about Timmy Tuches. I'm lucky to have the chat pros here with me each night. Purdue team total over for Timmy. Let's go to the SEC right now for this next one with Auburn taking on Mizzou here. Auburn's 10-6 coming into this one. Missouri comes in here with a record of 12-4 right now. Auburn has won here. 10, like I said, 10-6 right now here this season. Auburn 10-5 ATS in their last 15 games overall. Auburn 8-4 against the spread. The last 12 meetings against the Tigers overall, but they've been beating them every time. Right now, they haven't covered them all, but it's been all Auburn in this series. Last year, the two teams met in early January at Auburn. It was 84-68 Tigers, but they did not cover as an 18-point favorite at home. And now here we are a year later, and it's a pick'em on the road at Mizzou. Missouri's 3-7 against the spread in their last 10 games, despite their overall record here of 12-4. They are undefeated at home so far. Auburn's lost a couple of games on the road so far this season. 8 of the last 11 meetings between these two teams have gone over, but this season Auburn, they're the over team. They've gone over in 11 of their last 16. They're also 3-1 to the over on the road. For Missouri here, they're the under team. They've gone under in 4 of their last 5. They're also 4-7 to the under at home and 6-10 to the under overall. So let's see what you guys have maybe here with this one between Auburn and Missouri here, college basketball action for Wednesday night. And I want to hear from you in the chat in this one. Auburn did start the favorite. In fact, I'm starting to see Missouri favored here in a couple of spots here. So it feels like it has shifted. It feels like the favorite is shifting a little bit to Missouri. This total 155. Yeah, look, the last year's game was 152 at Auburn here, but I think when you look at a team here like Missouri, kind of going under here at home, and that total being pretty high here. I'm going to take the under at 155 as my play. I know this series is an over series here, but I'm taking the under 155. See if chat coming in here a little bit. Yeah. All right, let's see what we got. Okay, Mr. Weskers, he's ready to take Missouri here in this one. Timmy, though, I think he's going to go with Auburn here uh, on the road. Mr. Western says maybe they keep that momentum going. Greg here says Auburn on the road as well to win it. Jimmy's fine. I'll just go under. What is Missouri's kind of identity here, right? What propels them at this point? Look, it hasn't been a overwhelming season, but I think they've done a pretty good job here so far. I think mostly though just riding these home wins right now. And is it enough in the SEC when probably you might not be the better team here necessarily, but here's a Missouri team. They lost last time out to Ole Miss, 76-69 on the road, but they were able to beat Kentucky on the road. They lost at home to the Gators. And let's see, they lost also. No, I'm sorry, they beat the Gators 76-74 as a 6.5 point dog. Oh, their other losses were to Illinois, Kansas, and Notre Dame. So, they rely mostly on that strong power player Mitchell. Let's see here. First to 70 wins. You beat Florida and lose to Ole Miss. How do you do that in the SEC? Maybe a toss-up game, but Greg may just trust Auburn there. Jacob, he likes Mizzou. What did I say again about Jacob's avatar the other day? He's got the J on his hat. Cal Dog like an Auburn. And Greg says maybe just like similar when Auburn was able to beat Duke last year. Missouri plays like Baylor and Colorado. Let's go fire up the Big Eight there. All right. Cal Dog says the line will change by game time. Well, like I said, it feels to me like Auburn. I show Auburn was a favorite to open. And then now, although I list a pick 'em on the screen, I think it's fair to say that just some books have Missouri as the favorite here right now. Bovada sitting with a -1, but DraftKings still has Auburn by 1.5. All right. And Mr. Westwood says he thought Auburn would be a bigger favorite here. All right, I guess I'm on the under. Oh, that's so cool, Jacob. That is awesome. Okay, let's continue on here right now with our college card, and I'm going to stay in the SEC if that's okay, with Kentucky taking on LSU here. Was hoping to have DeAndre tonight. To me, we could talk a little LSU basketball, taking on the Wildcats here, but I'll do the honors here with LSU as a home dog here at a UK. Kentucky favored here by 4 here in this one on the road. They come in 10-6. LSU, meanwhile, 12-4. But LSU's lost 3 straight here with losses to Texas A&M, South Carolina, and Vanderbilt. Although they did cover the spread in their 2 road games of those 3. Ironically, they lost at home as a 7.5 point favorite. For Kentucky, meanwhile, they're 0-2 against the spread on the road so far this season. They were favored at Alabama. I believe, were they favored in that Alabama game? No, maybe it was the Alabama game, but they lost to Alabama. They lost to Missouri. They beat Mississippi State last time out. But again, it's been a slow start for UK. A lot of question marks about, are we just seeing a little bit of pause with UK? Or are they heading downhill here right now? So take a look, though, here right now with Kentucky having gone just 3-6 against the spread in their last 9 games overall. They've still won 5 of their last 7 overall. Kentucky just 1-4 against the spread in the last 5 meetings with LSU. For example, UK won last year, though, 95-64 at home as a 12.5 point favorite. However, back in 2024, they lost at LSU here 75-74. 4. LSU's gone under in 6 of their last 9 games. 4 of the last 5 meetings between these two teams have gone under when playing here at LSU. Kentucky's gone under in 8 of their last 12. LSU's 0-3 to the under as an underdog, and Kentucky's 1-4 to the under as a favorite. LSU at home so far 8-1 straight up. Kentucky, like I said, they've lost their only 2 true road games this season. Let's see what you got in the chat. Here in this one, struggling Kentucky here against LSU. I kind of want to go to the total, but I've given out 2 totals so far. So let's see what you got. Timmy likes LSU and the points. Greg says Kentucky wins, but I think he likes LSU to cover. And Jacob, LSU on the money line. Greg says both teams have been kind of shaky this year. And yeah, it does seem like Kentucky just not the same this year right now, it feels like, for Kentucky. But this just feels like one of the more competitive games of the night here right now. Look, Otega Owe, definitely a pretty good player here for Kentucky, but maybe just not quite enough contributions from the frontline players a little bit. And yeah, that's what I thought too, especially with this high total. But I'll go ahead and take LSU plus these 4 points at home. They've always got to give Kentucky a little bit of a hard time, and just no signs yet that Kentucky is ready to turn it around or make anything of this season here right now. And nice to get a cover there against Mississippi State, but LSU's been the better cover despite losing those last 3 games. They are 3-1 ATS in their last 4. So we'll go ahead and take the Tigers here in this one. All right, we'll keep it moving here right now in action here on Wednesday night, and I'm going to head to my favorite team for once here on Night Moves, San Diego State on the road taking on Wyoming here in this one. Look, normally this should be a easy game for San Diego State, but my Aztecs have been up and down here for sure, and it's always an awkward trip for them into Laramie, but they are favored in this one. Both teams come in. Well, San Diego State's 11-4. It seems like they've turned it around, and that's usually what they do in conference play. It's not like they go out and play. They do play some tough teams. They play a relatively tough non-conference schedule, but sometimes they get burned in their non-conference schedule, and they just don't seem like they put together a good start. Some of their losses haven't been that great, but now they've gotten into conference play here, and they're starting to roll a little bit. They already have 4 straight wins here right now tied atop the standings. They've covered 3 of the 4 conference games. They've already covered on the road at San Jose and at Nevada right now. And yeah, it's sometimes tough to go into Laramie here, but Wyoming hasn't been a great underdog this year, just 1-3 against the spread. Now they are 9-1 straight up at home here, but San Diego State's dominated this series. They won last year here in Wyoming, 72-69. They did not cover that one. They were a 7.5-point favorite, and also SDSU could only manage a 63-61 win over the Cowboys at home last season, and they were a 14.5-point favorite in that one. So San Diego State does usually win this game. Sometimes they're favored by a few too many points. That's obviously not the case here with the spread at just 1.5. So San Diego State is 6-4 against the spread as a favorite, and Wyoming 1-3 against the spread as an underdog so far this season. So if you want to comment on this one, let me know what you have in the game here between San Diego State and Wyoming in Laramie here. Wyoming, talk about that great home run that they're on at 7-2 to the over. Not only 9-1 straight up. Now they are just 5-4 against the spread at home, despite that 9-1 straight up record. This is a place where San Diego State has gotten kind of caught before, if you know what I mean. But like I said, usually they're laying far more points in this series, and that's usually what comes to bite them eventually. They're favored by, in the past here, some of their spread losses here. Um, have cost them. In fact, a couple of years ago, 80-75, they were favored in that one. So, okay, let's see what you got here in this one, though. Thank you to the chat pros. Okay, here we go. Okay, Mr. Westwood says go back and do Xavier there. Let me see if I can't get that in there. Like I said, I'm willing to try to wing it here on the fly and look at a few extra games for sure. Don't like to go out of order, but we can do that. I mean, Mr. Wesker, you're here every night, my friend. I mean, I'm willing to go back and find a game here and handicap it on the fly with you. Doing such a great job for me every night, giving us some extra content. I believe the chat pros are the most important part of the show. So, okay, this game seems like an over, says Cal Dog. Timmy says I like Wyoming here. Sounds like an under, but he just likes Wyoming this year. Greg says take San Diego State. They should barely cover. Wyoming has been pretty competitive. I mean, they're always tough at home, but like I said, San Diego State just turns it up during conference play. And you look at the Mountain West. Look, they have their work cut out for them this season. That's for sure. Not that they're not, going to be competitive here in the standings. I mean, right now they are tied for first with Utah State. Cal Dog might be on San Diego State here, but Wyoming comes in here just 2-3 right now. And, San Diego State with BJ Davis. And there was, we see what the story was with Magoon Guath, my favorite player on the Aztecs. Let's see, because he was definitely banged up again here, but I don't think he's on the injured list right now for Goon Guath. In fact, Harris is questionable for Wyoming, and Belich is questionable as well. So it feels like Wyoming is a team with a little bit of health issues here. Okay. Mr. Wester's maybe willing to go with SDSU. Want to say hello and welcome in the chat to Tavon Morris. Great to have Tavon in the chat tonight. And Greg says, Wyoming's tough. San Diego always slightly better. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm an Aztecs guy. So, look, they've had their share of great success. And I was frustrated with the team's start out of the gate here, no doubt about it. I mean, they had losses already to Troy, to Baylor. I mean, that's Baylor, that might be acceptable, but through their other two losses this year were to basically the top two teams in the country, Arizona and Michigan. San Diego State plays a tough schedule. So I think they can probably get it done here in this one against Wyoming. Give me the Aztecs on the road to keep it going right now. Look, they know they have to keep pace with this Utah State team right now. And, I will admit that Utah State's the better team here at this point, but San Diego State will have their shot. It's just so tough with Falslove and MJ Collins of Utah State. Okay, let's see here. And for sure, Greg. They incredible run. I couldn't believe it. To get to play in the national championship game for San Diego State, and I root for all my San Diego teams. That was really something I won't forget, because San Diego just doesn't bring championships home. They're not a championship city. They're not really even a great sports town. I just have to admit it. I was in denial for many years, but when you see you can't get the public to convince the politicians to help in building a stadium. Look, I know we should have private stadiums, but all right. Timmy, oh yeah, I love that channel. Timmy, always. I watch it every day. Okay, let's see. All right, I think that's it for that one. Let's go back. Let's see if we can't do one on the fly here for Mr. Weskers. He wants to head into the Big East for a toss-up game here, pretty much. Let's check it out. Thank you, Mr. Weskers. Mr. Wesker, you could send us some social media if you want. Tell me what games to pick. Before the show, or some, maybe an hour or two before the show. That way, we'll have it ready to go. But how about that? You asked for it, you got it. Toyota. Butler here on the road taking on XU tonight in Ohio. You got Butler coming in here 10-6, but riding a 3-game losing streak. For XU here, they're 10-7. They just snapped a 3-game losing streak with a 97-94 win at home against Providence. Before that, they had consecutive losses, of course, to UConn, but also at DePaul. You don't want that. And then at Marquette, they lost 66 to 65. For Butler here, their losses were to Creighton, Villanova, and to St. John's. They failed to cover as an underdog against St. John's at home, losing 84-70. Xavier is 8-3 straight up at home. Butler is 0-3 straight up on the road. But Butler, here they are. If they are favored here, they are a pretty good favorite so far this season, but usually have been favored by a little bit more. Butler is 3-1 against the spread on the road, despite some woes here against the spread overall. In fact, they've gone just 3-7 against the spread in their last 10 games coming into this one. So for Xavier here, they've been a big time over so far this season. 12-5 to the over so far. 9-4 to the over at home coming in this one as well. So definitely seen Xavier put up some points here and also give up some points in some of these games. In fact, that last game against Providence, 97-84. It was not an overtime game. That one went way over. It was 167 on that night. So a big score there. And of course, the 3 losses before that. So go ahead, Mr. Weskers. This one's all you here with this matchup. The two teams did meet a couple times last season, and the game here at XU was won by the Musketeers 76-63. They did cover 7.5. They also won on the road 91-78, covering 3.5. So XU's had their number here a little bit right now, and they are at home here, but but Butler hasn't been a terrible cover. They're 9-7 ATS. And let's go to the comments here a little bit. See what you got in this one. All right, Mr. Eskos wants to take Xavier here. I do too. And Timmy says, when's Butler gonna win? Here, a little bit of a losing streak right now in conference play. And by the way, taking a look at the top of the standings here right now in the Big East, of course, Connecticut is number 1. We already mentioned St. John's and Villanova, both at 5-1 coming in. These two teams, both Xavier 2-4 here, and Butler here 1-4 right now. So they're a little top heavy in the conference. All right, let's see here. Hey, Kwame in the chat. Yeah, he says, what's your best bet? Please, what's the best bet here? All right.
Final.
Yeah, Kwame, I think that Iowa Purdue over out of the games we talked about so far, I think that Iowa Purdue game over is my favorite so far. But I think in this game, I'm going to take Xavier here at home to win over Butler. In this one, like I said, XU's kind of had their number here a little bit, especially when playing in Ohio. Greg likes Xavier here. And let's see. Mr. Wester thinks Butler might be a public favorite here. Cal Dog on Xavier, Timmy Two Shoes on Xavier. And how are Butler favored here on the road at Xavier right now? Yeah, I don't. Uh, maybe the fact they've been over. They maybe they have been overrated a little bit, but I don't know. Both teams pretty decent against the spread right now, but just to me, Xavier here. Uh, decent at home for sure. But Butler, like I said, 0-3 on the road so far. Loss to Creighton last time out, 89-85. They actually got the number, though, in that one. They were getting 5.5. So, other than that, for Butler this year, their losses were to SMU, to Boise, and then these conference losses here to UConn, Creighton, Villanova, and St. John's. They did beat Providence for their to open the season 1-0 in conference play, but that one even took 2 overtimes. Greg says they miss Coach. He says Xavier misses Coach Miller. Well, they got Ricky Pitino in there, so we'll see if hopefully things will turn around here. I'll try them here in this one. Come on, Ricky. All right. Next up, let's try this one here. This I don't know. This might be it. The rest of the cards are pretty okay. I think we can find one or two more here. I've got lined up for us. There's Central Florida taking on Kansas State in this one. Look, Central Florida's had some nice wins. We've already talked about it a little bit, but still, you got to go on the road here, taking on Kansas State in Manhattan. Kansas State favored at home here by 2, and the total here 171. Hello, uh, here a pretty big number for sure. But you know what? Kansas State comes in here 9-7, but they've lost 3 straight. Coming in, we know Central Florida's been great so far, 13-2. They did lose the other night though, to Oklahoma State, or I guess last week, but lost at Oklahoma State, 87-76 as just a 1.5 point dog. That was after the KU upset. Kansas State has not been a great cover this year, especially as a favorite. Just 2-5 ATS overall, 4-7 ATS at home, despite a 7-3 record at home overall. It's just been not covering any numbers here. So, but only laying 2 here right now in this Central Florida team. Comes in here off of a win over Cincinnati, 73-72. Although they did not get the money in that one, they were favored actually by 2.5. Central Florida is just not great on the road. Even this season so far, they're 1-8 straight up in their last 9 games on the road. I think this is only their 3rd true road game, so some of that's dating back to last year, but when you're talking about dating back to last year, you're talking about conference games. That's where they left off. I mean, they were one of those teams just played a lot of home games during the preseason slate. But Central Florida has looked pretty good in conference play, covering these numbers so far and dating back to last year. Right now, 6-2 ATS in their last 8 conference games overall. But Kansas State, they're not a great cover either. They're 1-4 ATS and 2-7 ATS in their last 9 at home. Kansas State has gone over in 4 of their last 5 games. Central Florida's gone under in 6 of their last 8. Talking about Central Florida and their great spread record in Big 12 play, Kansas State hasn't covered yet in conference play. And not only that, they weren't covered at the end of last season either. So see what you have here in this one with Central Florida taking on Kansas State here in action on Wednesday. And I'll hear from you folks in the chat. And this one should be a very competitive Big 12 game here. We talked about the Big 12 here a little bit, but again, the standings at the top: Houston, Arizona, BYU, Iowa State now with a loss, obviously. Central Florida does come in 2-1. Kansas State's looking for their first conference win of the season here right now. So let's hear from you in the chat in this one. But Kansas State, 0 so far this season in conference play, but also they have not covered the spread in either of those 3 games either. Okay, here we go. Next up, I'm sorry, let me get to the chat pros here. And could Greg Gibson, right? Greg Gibson says, could Patino end up there in Kentucky? And following his dad's footsteps there a little bit. Okay, Greg says 87-85 UCF there. And let's see, Mr. Wester says he thinks UCF can come in and make a statement here. UCF beat Kansas. They can certainly beat Kansas State. And Cal Dog liking UCF as well. And I think that might be it from the chat All-Stars. I got to take Kansas State here in this one. Let's see here. I do want to take a peek just real quick at some of the action on the total in this one. But I think we're already committed. Okay. Yeah, I'll take the Wildcats here in this one at home over Central Florida. All right, gonna have a few more here on the college card. Look, we got a big college card. We got to look at some of these great games here right now for sure. Let's go to Happy Valley. Let's go to College Station right now with UCLA on the road taking on Penn State in this one. Go to some Big Ten action right now with the Bruins favored on the road against the Nittany Lions here. UCLA, look, they're 11-5 coming in. Penn State just 9-7. Penn State with 3 consecutive losses here right now in Big Ten play, but they covered them all. They were underdogs to Illinois and Michigan at home. Hey, we took them plus 24 in that game against Michigan. Easy cover. They almost beat Michigan. And they did cover also against Purdue. So, look, Penn State's been getting plenty of points, but I will say that in those games they were getting, an average of, I think, almost 20 points. For the Bruins here, meanwhile, they are coming off of a home win over Maryland in their last outing, but they do have conference losses on the road to Iowa and Wisconsin. Fell pretty short in those games. Actually, the 2 teams met last year at UCLA at Pauley, and it was 78-54. The Bruins won that one as a 10-point favorite, but this feels like it will be tougher. UCLA is already just 1-4 against the spread on the road so far this season. Penn State not great, 5-7 ATS at home, but they are 4-2 ATS as an underdog here. So UCLA's off to 11-5 start as mentioned, but just 1-4 against the spread in their last 5 games. Overall, they're also just 1-5 ATS in their last 6 conference games and dating back to last year a little bit. Penn State's lost 6 of 7 right now coming in. That only win was against NC Central at home. They didn't cover 24.5, but still they've won 7 of their last 10 at home. It's just that as an underdog, Penn State is 0-6 so far this season, and as a favorite, UCLA is 10-1 so far this season. So, well, you know what? Got some real things you got to think about here a little bit right now with Penn State without a conference win here so far this season. Right now, sitting there at the bottom with Maryland, UCLA. Meanwhile, 3-2, doing an okay job here. Let's see what you guys might want to do in this one with UCLA and Penn State here on Wednesday night. I'll go to the chat pros here, see what you got. All right. And Mr. Wester says, maybe you got to keep faith in this UCLA team right now.
Critical notice.
Timmy says, how is UCLA a favorite in this game? Yeah, okay. Look, Penn State, I mean, they're definitely having some struggles here, but I do feel like, look, we already saw UCLA lose some games on the road here right now. I kind of agree. I kind of want to take these points with Penn State. Greg Gibson, Penn State. Timmy Two Shoes, Penn State. Penn State at home. Look, like I said, they almost beat Michigan. Cal Dog, Penn State. UCLA. Greg says they're not like they used to be. Are you talking about when they won 13 straight national championships? Or I don't think it was 13 in a row, but it was 10 and 13 years anyway, right? 7 straight ties, or 10 and 12 years. It's been so long. I mean, I had just started to realize what college basketball was, and the dynasty was over. I mean, I was only 6. You only remember when you're like starting to be 6 or 7, and I was so into sports as a little kid, I couldn't believe that UCLA. I just thought that's what UCLA was. I didn't know, and I saw the first. Saw some great games there. I just remember that game against Houston was such a big television event, and for someone that didn't even understand the landscape of sports at that time, all I knew was UCLA. They were the team that was on TV every week. What would they call that channel that UCLA was on? Like every week, and they'd say, "Oh man, I can't even think." I'll go into Chat GPT when I'm done with this, and that'll remind me. All right, give me the Nittany Lions here. I'm taking Penn State. All right, hey, you got a couple more. Hey, we still got hockey. Stay tuned. We still got hockey here tonight. But let's go to a couple more here. I've got the Tar Heels going to be on the road here, and they're taking on Stanford in the Transatlantic Conference, as I like to call it. Transatlantic Coast Conference. North Carolina on the road here taking on Stanford. They're a 2.5-point favorite here in this one. Two teams maybe so far. I don't know if it's not living up to expectations. Maybe it's just, these teams aren't, again, like some of the others, just not as they used to be. But Carolina's still ranked 14th. They're 14-2. Let's not slight them. Stanford's 13-4, doing a pretty good job as well, although they're coming in off of a loss at Virginia, just 70-55. They did not cover in that one. They do own wins and covers over Virginia Tech and Louisville, but they did lose in that bizarre home game to Notre Dame, 47-40. Stanford's 4-1 against the spread as an underdog. North Carolina is just 1-3 against the spread on the road, but Carolina did win last time out against Wake at home, 87-84, but they did not cover. They lost at SMU 97-83. They did win and cover at home against FSU. These two teams met last year at Carolina. Stanford won 72-71 as a 12.5 point favorite in that game. So I don't think I'm too interested in North Carolina here, but let me hear what you guys think. Carolina has won 7 of the last 8 meetings, but just, they just in the conference play last year. All those others are really kind of long term here, but Carolina's won 8 of their last 9 coming in. They've gone under in 7 of their last 10, but they've gone over in 6 of their last 7 on the road. These two teams are a combined 12 and 21 to the under. So far this season. Stanford's gone under in 4 of their last 5 games at home. So let's see if you want to make a pick here with me on this one, with Stanford hosting North Carolina here in the Bay Area on Wednesday night. Thank you for joining me here on Night Moves. Having a great time here with you guys. All right, let's see here. And Mr. Weskers did take Stanford to win on the money line. And Mr. Weskers says Stanford. Yeah, we did do a good long segment here, Timmy Tucci. Probably because, most like I said, even though I got the hockey on deck here, there's really just a couple of games, actually. And like I said, the NBA, we only had 7 games. So we got to talk a little college ball tonight. Greg says 85-82. And taking Stanford is gambling here. I don't know. I kind of want to take them, but actually, I talked up those totals a little bit. But I've got the over in this one. I think I'm just going to take the over here with Stanford and North Carolina. I like the over in this one. All right, and let's see. Yeah, I agree, Mr. Weskers. I agree with this take. You remember Stanford has dominated a lot of different sports over the years. I mean, here's a school, they've won the award before, right, for the best athletic program. All right. Hey, I've got one more, if that's okay, you guys, here on Wednesday night I've got TCU taking on BYU here tonight. And yeah, pretty big spread, but I want to look at one more here with BYU at home. They are laying 12.5 here to TCU, but just wanted to cover them a little bit. Like we said, we're talking about the conference action here right now in the Big 12. So I want to make sure we hit at least a little bit at the top of the standings with BYU undefeated here coming in. TCU is just 1-2 right now in conference play, but I want to talk a little bit more about Diabate and what he's meant right now to this BYU team. He's obviously pretty terrific here. BYU, though, just 9-7 ATS. TCU's actually covered all 3 of their true road games so far this season. Usually BYU a little bit favored, a little too heavy here in some of these games. They failed to cover on the road against Utah, but they did cover at home against ASU, laying 17.5. Here for TCU, they just lost to Arizona 86-70 at home. They also lost to KU 104-100. We mentioned that that game going to overtime there, maybe ran out of gas a little bit. They also beat Baylor at home 69-63. So just want to take a look at one more game, and I want to take a look at BYU here. They are a big favorite in this one. There were some other games here at the bottom of the board with some double-digit spreads, but just wanted to cover one more here on this short card. So TCU has lost 17 of their last 18 games against BYU overall, but they've covered 4 out of the last 6 meetings between the two teams. Last year's meeting was at TCU. TCU actually won the game 71-67 as a 2.5-point dog. So TCU does a nice job covering some numbers for sure. BYU's gone over in 4 of their last 5. 4 of the last 5 meetings between the two teams, though, have gone under. So let's see what you have here in this one between uh, BYU here and TCU. Oh, I don't have the total up there, which is important because I'm actually going with the total in this game at 155.5, I think, right now. And I'm going under in this one between TCU and BYU. All right. That will do it for the college basketball segment. I'll get a few clips from you guys. But I don't know where, what, like I said, I would kind of want to talk about Debonsa here. I don't know if you guys think, for a freshman, I mean, this guy is unbelievable. He's obviously close to being a player of the year candidate here right now. And, he's obviously a guy who'd probably be in the NBA right now. He's so good here. And I think that's what makes this team so special. All right. You got a few comments here on this game. Let's see. Mr. Westwood says everyone's on TCU. He wants to take BYU here. Sorry about that, Cal Dog. There, yeah, we'll put that total up there. And let's see here. BYU for Timmy Two-Shoe. Cal Dog may be able to take this one in. Greg says BYU at home, pretty good. Cal Dog says, I don't think the points are enough. I think that's what he said. All right, let's go. 4 games NHL tonight. And we'll start taking a look here right now with the Kraken. We've already been here for 2 hours, so really appreciate you guys joining me here on Night Moves. If you want a 5-minute show with a bunch of picks, I guess this isn't for you, huh? I love spending time here with the chat pros. Here we go. Seattle on the road taking on the Devils here in this one. Seattle comes in 21-15-8. Devils are 23-22-1. New Jersey comes in off of a win here last time out over Minnesota 5-2 on the road a couple of nights ago. That stopped a losing streak. Seattle's been playing terrific, man. They won again over the Rangers on the road last time out. Yeah, they did have a couple losses in there against good foes, Carolina and Minnesota, but they were in those games too. In fact, they had the loss to Carolina, but before that, the game against Minnesota was an overtime loss, so they got a point there as well. Seattle's just been playing. They've really turned it around here this season. Seattle's won 9 of their last 12. Now, granted, they have lost 5 straight to New Jersey overall, but they're 6-1. Their last 7 on the road. New Jersey's lost 4 of 5 games coming in here right now. 5 straight meetings between these two teams have gone under. New Jersey's gone under in 11 of their last 15 and 5 of their last 6 games at home. But man, take Seattle here, a little bit of plus money, even though New Jersey's been winning this series, man. Seattle is playing well. Remember, Seattle, not great defensively, but, you look at the totals here right now, and they're 17-22 to the under as an underdog. New Jersey's 10-16 to the under as a favorite. Let's go to the chat here. I kind of want to take the dog in this one. Timmy doesn't trust Allen, though, in the goal. I don't know if I do either. Give me Seattle here in this one. I'm going to take the Kraken on the road and take a little bit of plus money. Next up, the Flyers are on the road taking on those Sabres. Oh, my gosh, the Sabres lost their last game here. Flyers have lost 3 straight coming in. They're 22-14-8. Buffalo, 24-16-4. Yeah, they lost last time out to Florida. And they almost got it done. They actually came back in that game against Florida. They were down there early, I think 2-1, and they came back and tied it after the second, but ended up losing it late, 4-3 in that one to stop a 3-game winning streak. But we know how good they've been, man. Buffalo's won 13 of their last 15, 6 of their last 7 at home. Philadelphia not only 2-4 in their last 6, but they've actually lost 6 of the last 8 times in here at Buffalo. They already played back in December at Buffalo. Buffalo won 5-3. Philly did win at home 5-2, but at $1.40, I don't know if I can pass this up. Philadelphia has gone over in five of their last seven. They've also gone over in five of their last seven on the road. Buffalo's 12-8 to the over as a favorite, and they've gone over in four of their last five. Five straight meetings between these two teams have gone over. I think the Sharps are probably going to want to take the Flyers here, but it's not a great series for the Flyers. I don't know if I want to be on them, but I will say I feel like the Sharps are kind of on the Flyers here. But you know what? They've kind of been fading the Sabres here a little bit. I'm going to take the over though, I guess, as my play in the end here. Try a total in this one. I kind of want to trust Buffalo again. We've been taking them every time. I mean, why would we back off of them now? This has been such an incredible run. And let's see here. Timmy says, I think this is an under, but he might be on the Flyers. Look, the Sharps are going to be on the Flyers here, and it's giving me pause here just a little bit. I kind of want to take Buffalo. Greg's on Buffalo here, but I'll take the over as 6 goals here as my play. It is currently 6 over 15 or so, 6 over 20. Thank you. And, Timmy, you're right. I mean, there's got to be regression. I don't think anybody saw this coming for Buffalo. I mean, they got some nice players, but, they weren't in position this season to make a big run or anything. But, hey, this is hockey, and you can get hot. Next up, the Senators are on the road taking on the Rangers here. Senators a road favorite in this one. These two teams are struggling all of a sudden, man. Well, we know the Rangers have been struggling, but we're basically dealing with the last place teams here right now. You got the Rangers currently in last in the Metro. You got the Rangers currently in last, or I'm sorry, the Senators currently at last in the Atlantic. We already know Shesterkin is injured here. Quick is being forced into more action here right now. And hey, I love Quick, but man, he's getting a little old, a little long in the tooth. And you can have Reimer in here for the Senators. And this one, Senators are coming in off of a win here over Vancouver, 2-1 at home. They haven't played great, but they got that one done. Rangers, meanwhile, have lost 4 straight. They just lost to Seattle. We know the Rangers at home is a bad idea. They're 5-12 at home so far this season. They've lost 7 of their last 8, 5 of their last 6 at home. Ottawa's lost 5 of the last 6 games to the Rangers here. It's been a tough matchup for them, but usually we've been fading the Rangers at home. Still, you gotta lay it here with Ottawa right now at $1.15. Ottawa's gone over in 8 of their last 11 games on the road. The Rangers have gone over in 4 of their last 6 games, but they're 6-15 to the under at home this season. They've had scoring issues basically at home. This series has gone under in 4 of the last 5 meetings between these two teams. Overall, can Ottawa finally get one done here against the Rangers here tonight, going up against Quickie? I've got to take the Senators. I'm not going with the Rangers in this one. I mean, Senators haven't been very good either, but I'm going to take them at minus $1.15 in the ugly game of the night. Timmy says, you know what? Maybe this is going to be a little bit of random goals here. Maybe Timmy's on the over. And Timmy says, you got to take the Rangers eventually. They got to beat somebody. This might be the team they should be able to do it against here at the battle of last place teams. All right, this should be a little better with the Kings hosting VGK here. Golden Knights, 4-game winning streak here right now. Looking pretty good at this point. Consecutive wins here over Winnipeg, Columbus, St. Louis, and San Jose, all convincingly here, actually, especially the last 3 games. They've outscored their opposition 16-7 here right now, and maybe they're turning it around again. Everybody seems to be healthy and ready to go with this Vegas team, so favored on the road here at LA here tonight. Vegas has lost 4 of the last 5 meetings to the Kings, but they've won 4 out of their last 5 overall. Kings have still lost 11 of their last 16 games overall. Vegas has gone over in 9 of their last 12 and 5 of their last 6 games on the road. The Kings have gone over in 8 of their last 9 games and 5 of their last 6 at home. 5 straight meetings between these two teams have gone over here of late. So I'm going to take the over here at 5.5 with the Golden Knights and the Kings. I know a division game here. It is juiced to the over. I probably should put that in there. I've seen 5.5 over 20 at some of the square books. So or at least have the right line there. I'll take the over in this one. Look, I know that, yes, when you're talking about the Kings here, you get a lot of unders, especially when they're home and when they're a dog too. They're 6-10 to the under overall, but this series has been an over, and the Kings usually get the Golden Knights here, but I don't know if they're playing well enough. Give me the over, though, Vegas and LA. I think that's it for night moves. Let me get any more plays from you guys. Kempe, anytime goal. Cal Dog on the under. Timmy thinks it could be 3-3 by the time they get to the finish. Thanks, everybody, for joining me here on Night Moves. I'll be back tomorrow at 3 a.m. Eastern and midnight Pacific, or shortly before. We'll get the show going here on Night Moves. Take a look at the action for Thursday night as we keep it rolling here with basketball and hockey, and hopefully get ready. Man, let's get to the weekend. Got golf coming up this week, too. Getting the season really going. I saw that news today with Brooks Koepka coming back to the PGA Tour. Could we see more defections off the LIV Tour? The LIV Tour is going to 72 holes this season in their tournaments. I think that was kind of one of the requirements of some of the majors there a little bit when they were saying, hey, if you guys want to really be participating in our majors program and we're going to let you in, you got to at least play 72 holes in your tournament. So the LIV Tour is actually moving to 72 holes this year. I don't know if I think it is for all the events, but I didn't look too closely. So, okay, that's going to do it. Thanks a lot, everybody. Make sure you head on over to TonySpicks.com and check me out over there. Look, there's my 3-day pass for $99. You get plenty of picks from me with these passes. Also, the weekly All Sports Pass. Check me out over at TonySpicks.com and use that promo code TonyT at checkout. Save 15% off all the premium pick packages from me here on Wednesday night. That's going to do it for Night Moves. Really appreciate everybody, and thank you very much for joining me here on the show. And for Tony'sPicks.com, I'm Ramon Scott. So long from Night Moves.